It was past midnight when the first knock came, soft at first, like rain touching wood, then again louder. 3 slow, trembling knocks. Everyone in the quiet town of Ridgefield heard it that night. Not through their doors, but through whispers that traveled faster than sound. The story began on Willow Street at the edge of the forest where no one ever came after dark. Old Mrs. Green was the first to answer. She opened her door just a little, holding her flashlight tight. And there, standing in the cold, was a woman, or something that looked like one. Her skin shimmered like silver under the moonlight. Her eyes glowed pale blue, filled with something deeper than fear, something like endless sadness. In her arms, she held a small bundle wrapped in cloth. The bundle moved weakly, letting out a faint dry sound, not quite a cry but not silence either. "Please help," the woman said. Her voice was soft, broken, each word trembling as if it carried the weight of a dying world. Mrs. Green froze. The air around her grew strange, heavy, humming with energy. What are you?" she whispered, her voice barely holding steady. The woman didn't answer. She just looked at Mrs. Green, eyes filled with desperate hope, and said one name, Elias Grant. Mrs. Green shook her head. "No one by that name here," she stammered, and slammed the door shut. By morning, the story had spread across Ridgefield. People said a gray ghost had come knocking in the night. Some said it was a lost experiment from the old air base. Others said it was a spirit looking for her dead child. No one wanted to believe she was real, but security cameras from Willow Street said otherwise. There she was, clear as day, walking slowly down the road, holding the bundle close. Her silver skin caught the morning light, and her hair shimmered like threads of glass. She knocked on every door, every single one, and every time people turned her away. "Get off my porch. Go back where you came from. We don't want trouble here." She said nothing in return. She only asked one question over and over. "Do you know Elias Grant?" No one did. No one wanted to. Days turned into weeks. The woman stayed near the edge of town. Her ship, if you could call it that, lay half buried in the forest, glowing faintly like a dying fire. People who went near it said the air there felt thick, like breathing smoke. Some claimed they saw shapes inside, tools, wires, and what looked like a small bed. The woman spent her nights outside, holding the bundle close to her chest. Sometimes she hummed, a slow, strange melody that didn't sound human. The sound carried across the wind, soft but haunting. Children began leaving food at the forest's edge, bread, fruit, bottles of water. No one told them to. They just felt they should. One night, a boy named Tommy watched from afar. He saw the woman open the bundle. Inside was a small alien child, skin pale and thin, chest rising with weak breaths. Its lungs made soft rattling sounds, like they were filled with sand. Tommy ran home terrified, but he didn't tell anyone what he'd seen. By the second month, local police were told to deal with the situation, but no one dared approach her directly. "We don't know what she is," one officer said. "She's not attacking anyone, just knocking." So they left her alone. Every few nights she would walk the streets again, always knocking, always asking the same thing. "Elias Grant, please, he can save him." Some started to pity her. Others grew angry. People said she brought bad luck. Crops died faster, machines broke, and even the wind felt colder. But the woman never stopped. By the end of the first year, she became a story. The Silver Mother. Children whispered about her at night. Teenagers dared each other to follow her. A few brave ones did, filming her from a distance. In the videos, she looked weak, tired, but never hopeless. She would stop at each door, knock gently, wait, then move on. Her voice would echo through the night. "Please, Elias Grant." 3 years passed. The town had changed. New buildings, new faces. But she was still there, walking slower now, weaker. Her once glowing eyes had dimmed, and her clothes were worn and torn. Still, she carried the same bundle, now heavier, wrapped tighter. People stopped calling her a ghost. Now they called her the Lost Mother. Reporters came, scientists too, but she never spoke to them. She only repeated that name. Elias Grant. One night, as snow fell softly over Ridgefield, she knocked on one last door, an old wooden cabin at the very edge of town. The house had no lights. The road leading to it was broken and forgotten. She knocked once, twice, then a third time. The door opened just a little, revealing a young girl, Mira, no older than 16. Her eyes widened at the sight before her. A silver-skinned woman shivering in the snow, clutching a motionless bundle. "Please," Rilara whispered, voice faint as wind. "My son. He cannot breathe. I need Elias Grant." Mira hesitated, then said softly, "I don't know who that is, but you can come in." For the first time in 3 years, the alien mother stepped inside a human home. The snow fell harder outside, covering her footprints, as if the earth itself was keeping her secret. Somewhere, deep in the shadows of that quiet night, something had finally changed. The knock had been answered, and the story of humanity's greatest test had just begun. Mira didn't sleep that night. The strange woman, the alien mother, sat near the fireplace, holding her child close. The little one barely moved. Its small chest rose weakly, each breath sounding like a whisper trapped in a storm. The woman's silver skin glowed faintly under the warm light, and the room smelled faintly of metal and ozone. Mira's hands trembled as she poured water into a cup. "Here," she said softly. "You should drink." The alien mother took it with shaking fingers. "Thank you," she whispered. Her voice was low and beautiful, almost like music. "I am Rilara," Mira nodded, trying to smile. "I'm Mira." For a while, neither spoke. Only the sound of the fire filled the silence. Finally, Mira asked, "Who is Elias Grant? You keep saying his name." Rilara looked up, her glowing eyes filled with both hope and pain. "He was a human, a kind one. He came to my world many cycles ago. He tried to save our children." She gently touched her son's forehead. "Our air began to change. Our young ones could not breathe. He promised he would make something to help, a new lung, half human, half Therian. But then one day, he was gone." Mira frowned. "Gone? Like, dead?" Rilara shook her head slowly. "No, he left, vanished. My people said humans forgot us. But I could not forget him." Her voice cracked. "He was our last hope." The next morning the snow stopped. The forest was quiet, heavy with cold air. Mira wrapped herself in her coat and went outside. The alien ship shimmered faintly through the trees, cracked and overgrown with frost. It looked like a giant shell, wounded, but still alive. Mira stood there, heart pounding. This wasn't just a story anymore. This was real. And if what Rilara said was true, then somewhere on Earth lived a man who once tried to save an entire alien race. She returned to her small desk and turned on her old computer. It was slow, full of dust, but it worked. She typed Elias Grant into the search bar. Thousands of results appeared. Articles, scientific journals, and old government files. Most were locked. A few were strange. One headline read, "Dr. Elias Grant. Disappeared after interstellar research ban." Mira clicked it. The article was 10 years old. It said Elias was a top scientist in xenobiotech, a new science after humans made contact with other worlds. He worked on cross-species, organs, especially lungs that could function in different atmospheres. He claimed he could make a universal organ that bridges worlds. But then something went wrong. His last experiment caused a reactor failure. 3 scientists died. The project was shut down, and the government banned all xenobiological research. Elias Grant disappeared soon after. Some said he was arrested. Others said he went mad. No one knew for sure. Mira scrolled down and saw a single image, a young man with brown hair, kind eyes, and a small smile. Beside him stood an alien woman. Her silver skin looked familiar. She was younger then, her eyes brighter. Rilara. Mira's breath caught. She ran to the living room, holding the printout. Rilara, she said. This is you, isn't it? Rilara looked at the photo, her hands trembling. Yes, she whispered. That was the day he promised to save my son. Her gaze softened. That was before everything burned. Mira hesitated. So, he was real. Elias was real. Rilara nodded. And he is still here. I can feel it. My heart knows it. For the next few days, Mira searched everywhere. She read old archives, dark web rumors, and forgotten scientific records. At last, she found a clue, a small post on an old science forum from years ago. Grant lives near the Northridge Mountains. Don't go there. He doesn't want to be found. Mira looked at the map. The mountains were far, almost 2 days' journey. Dangerous roads, little shelter, and endless snow. But she had already made up her mind. That night, as Rilara slept beside her sick child, Mira packed her bag, food, a flashlight, and a small camera. Before leaving, she looked at the alien boy one last time. His skin flickered faintly, like dim starlight fading. She whispered, I'll find him, I promise. The next morning, Mira set out. The road was quiet. Snow crunched beneath her boots. Her breath rose in white clouds. The deeper she went, the fewer signs of life she saw. Hours turned into a day, then another. Finally, at the edge of a frozen lake, she saw smoke rising from a cabin hidden among the trees. Her heart raced. She walked closer, slowly until she reached the wooden steps. The door was half open. Inside, everything smelled of old paper and machine oil. Strange devices filled the tables, glowing tubes, metal frames, and blueprints pinned to the walls. A man sat in the corner, hunched over a flickering screen. His hair was messy, his clothes torn, and his face tired. But his eyes, kind, sharp, human, still burned with the same fire she saw in the photo. Mira whispered, Dr. Grant? The man turned. His eyes widened. Who are you? How did you find me? Mira swallowed hard. Someone's been looking for you. For 3 years, he frowned. Who? She took a deep breath. Her name is Rilara. She says you promised to save her child. The color drained from his face. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he whispered almost to himself, she's alive. She never gave up. He stood slowly, eyes distant, filled with guilt and disbelief. After all this time, he looked toward the snow-covered forest outside and said in a trembling voice, Then I have to make it right. Snow fell thick over Ridgefield that morning. The little town looked peaceful from the outside. White rooftops, quiet streets, smoke rising from chimneys. But beneath that calm silence, something strange was happening. People were afraid again. It had been 3 days since Mira helped the alien mother, Rilara. The news had spread like wildfire. The Silver Woman is alive again. Some claimed to have seen her walking under the moon, carrying her dying child through the snow. Others said she lived with a human girl who had lost her mind. But to Mira, Rilara wasn't a monster. She was a mother trying to save her child. Mira returned from the mountains with a story no one believed. She had met Elias Grant, the missing scientist. He was alive, old, tired, and buried in guilt. When she told him about Rilara, his eyes had filled with pain. He had promised her he would come back, but he hadn't yet. Now Rilara and her weak child were hidden inside Mira's barn, where the walls creaked and the roof leaked. Every night Mira brought food and blankets, and every night Rilara sat beside her son, humming that same soft song, the one that sounded like a prayer made of stars. The people of Ridgefield didn't see that. They only saw what they wanted to see. To them, Rilara was a curse. Machines broke, animals went missing, and even the town's radio tower stopped working for 2 days. It's her fault, said the butcher. Ever since that thing came here, nothing's been right. She's bringing alien sickness, shouted another. Fear spread faster than truth ever could. Mira tried to defend her. She's not dangerous. She just needs help. But people turned their backs. The same neighbors who once smiled at her now crossed the street when she passed. Even her teacher warned her, "Stay away from that creature, Mira, it's not your problem." But to Mira, it was her problem, because when she looked into Rilara's eyes, she didn't see a monster. She saw a mother who hadn't given up. One night, the town council gathered at the old church. The air inside was tense. Mayor Kent slammed his hand on the table. "It's been 3 years," he said. 3 years of fear and strange lights in the forest. "This must end," the police chief nodded. "We'll go at dawn. We'll make her leave, peacefully if possible." Mira overheard everything. Her heart raced. She ran home through the snow, her boots crunching in panic. She burst into the barn, breathless. "Rilara," she gasped. "They're coming for you." Rilara lifted her head slowly, her silver hair falling over her face. "I expected this," she said quietly. Humans fear what they do not understand. Her child coughed, a dry, fragile sound. Rilara pressed her hand to his chest, her eyes glowing dimly. "His lungs are failing faster now," she whispered. "He cannot last much longer." Mira clenched her fists. "Then we need Elias. He promised to come." Rilara looked at her sadly. "Promises fade, little one." "Humans forget." Mira shook her head. "Not all of us." By morning, the sound of engines filled the cold air. Police trucks rolled through the snow, their lights flashing. People gathered on the road, whispering and pointing. In the barn, Rilara stood tall, wrapping her child tightly. Her body shimmered faintly, light running across her skin like moving glass. She looked almost angelic. And yet the humans saw only something alien. The officers stepped forward cautiously. "Ma'am," one said, voice shaking, "we mean no harm. But you must leave now." Rilara didn't answer. She looked down at her child, then up at the gray sky. "Leave?" she murmured. "Where shall I go? My world is gone." "My child cannot breathe without your air," the crowd murmured. Someone shouted, "Monster!" Another yelled, "Take her away before she kills us all." Mira ran in front of Rilara, spreading her arms. "Stop, she's not hurting anyone." "You don't even know what she's been through." The mayor frowned. "Mira, get away from her. This isn't your fight." "Yes, it is," Mira cried. "Because no one else will help her." Then something unexpected happened. A low hum filled the air. Deep, powerful, and strange. Everyone turned toward the forest. A shadow moved between the trees. Moments later, a man stepped out, his coat torn, eyes glowing with determination. "Elias Grant." The crowd gasped. Some recognized him from old photos. "That's the scientist," someone whispered. Elias walked straight to Rilara, ignoring the police. His face was pale with guilt. "You found me," he said softly. After all these years, Rilara looked at him with trembling eyes. "I never stopped." He looked at her child, barely breathing, skin turning gray. "You kept him alive for 3 years?" She nodded weakly. "He is all I have left." Elias turned to the officers. "If you want to arrest someone, arrest me." "But I need to take them with me, now." The mayor shouted, "You can't!" "This is illegal, alien interference." Elias stepped closer. "Then let the law kill him," he said coldly. "But I won't." His voice silenced everyone. After a long moment, the police chief sighed. "You've got 1 day, doctor." "Then we report this." Elias nodded. "1 day is all I need." That night, the town stayed quiet. No one slept. Some watched from their windows, wondering what the strange man and the alien mother were doing inside that old barn. Inside, under dim lights, Elias unpacked a small box filled with tools, wires and glass tubes. He placed them on Mira's old table. "I'll need your help," he said. Rilara watched him, tears glimmering like silver stars. "After all this time," she whispered, "you still try to save us." Elias didn't look up. "After all this time," he said softly, "you still believe in me." Outside, snow began to fall again, silent and endless. The world waited, and in that small broken barn on the edge of Ridgefield, humanity's greatest act of compassion was about to begin. Night fell heavy over Ridgefield. The snow had stopped, but the cold stayed, sharp and silent. Inside Mira's old barn, 3 beings worked under the dim light of a single lantern. A human scientist, A young girl and an alien mother clutching her dying child. The air smelled of metal, burnt wires, and fear. Elias Grant sat at the wooden table, his hands steady despite the tremor in his heart. Around him were strange tools, some human, some alien, all rusted by time. He connected wires to a small, glowing heart-shaped device that pulsed like it was alive. Mira watched him closely. "What is that?" she asked softly. Elias looked up, eyes tired but bright. "The beginning of a new lung," he said. "Not human, not alien, something in between. I built the first version years ago, but I was stopped before I could finish." Rilara stepped closer, her eyes glimmering like wet silver. "You said it could save our children," she whispered. "You said it would let them breathe." Elias nodded, his voice low. "It would have, but your council feared us, and our government feared you. They said we were crossing lines nature never meant to cross." He paused, guilt flashing across his face. "When they banned the research, I destroyed the lab and ran. I thought it was over, but you never stopped searching for me." Rilara's voice trembled. "You were our last hope. I walked across 1,000 worlds before I came here. My son's breath grows thinner each day. I can feel time dying inside him." Mira sat down beside the small alien child. His skin shimmered faintly, and each breath rattled like broken glass. She reached out gently. "What's his name?" Rilara smiled weakly. "Lear," Mira whispered. "He's beautiful." Rilara nodded, her tears glinting. "He should be playing among the stars, not struggling to live on your world." Elias's voice cut through the silence. "Then let's change that." He turned on the machine. The lights flickered blue, filling the barn with soft glow. Strange patterns moved across the table. DNA codes, human and alien, woven together like threads of light. "This is forbidden work," Elias said quietly. "If the Galactic enforcers find out, they'll destroy us all. Earth signed the Interstellar Purity Pact 20 years ago. We are not allowed to mix human biology with alien genetics ever again." Mira frowned. "Why not?" Elias sighed. "Because they fear us, humans. Adapt too well." Hours passed. The wind outside howled, but no one inside moved away from the work. Rilara whispered ancient prayers under her breath while Elias molded cells under a microscope. Mira fetched tools, her fingers numb from the cold. At one point, Elias stopped and rubbed his forehead. "This tissue," he muttered, "it's not matching. His alien blood rejects human oxygen levels." Rilara stepped forward. "Then use mine." "Take what you need." Elias shook his head. "It won't hold. Your DNA has adapted to thinner air. His lungs need something stronger." He looked down at his own hand, human, trembling, scarred from years of hiding. "Maybe mine will work." Mira's eyes widened. "Maybe mine will work." Mira's eyes widened. "You mean use your cells?" He nodded. "Part of me, part of him. It's risky, but if it works, it'll be the first hybrid organ to survive both Earth's oxygen and Therian plasma air." Rilara whispered, "If you do this, your laws will kill you." Elias smiled faintly. "Then they'll have to find me first." Suddenly, a sound echoed outside, a deep hum like engines cutting through air. Everyone froze. Mira ran to the window and peeked through a crack. Her heart jumped. 3 dark ships hovered above the forest, their lights scanning the ground like search beams. Rilara's face went pale. "Galactic enforcers," she whispered. "They found me." Elias grabbed a metal shield and covered the glowing devices. "We can't let them see this light. They'll detect the energy signatures." Mira quickly threw a blanket over the table. The glow dimmed, leaving only the weak lantern flicker. Outside, the hum grew louder. Snow scattered in spirals as the ships lowered closer. Rilara held her child tighter. "They will take him. They will erase all proof of what we tried to do." Elias put a hand on her shoulder. "They won't. Not while I'm still breathing." He moved toward the barn door, his eyes cold with determination. "Mira, lock the back entrance." "Keep the light low," Mira obeyed. Her heart pounded as she heard footsteps crunching outside the barn. Voices, mechanical, sharp, emotionless. A beam of white light swept across the window. Rilara pressed her back against the wall, hiding Leor beneath her cloak. Elias stayed still, breathing slowly. The light passed. The ships moved further into the forest. Silence. No one spoke for several minutes. Finally, Rilara whispered, "They will return. They can sense forbidden energy." Elias nodded grimly. "Then we finish this before they do." The rest of the night blurred into desperate work. Elias extracted blood samples, modified proteins, and used parts of his old devices to forge the new lung chamber. Sweat dripped down his face, but he didn't stop. By dawn, he placed the final piece on the table, a small, translucent organ pulsing faintly like a glowing crystal. It looked alive, breathing softly on its own. Mira stared in awe. "It's beautiful," Elias whispered. "It's hope." Rilara stepped closer, tears glistening. "Will it work?" Elias looked at her gently. "We'll find out soon. But once I install it, I can't undo it. If I fail, it will kill him," she nodded. "He is already dying. Let him have a chance." Elias took a deep breath, then looked at Mira. "Keep watch outside. If you see the ships again, run." Mira hesitated. "What about you?" He gave her a small, sad smile. "I've been hiding from the universe for too long. Maybe it's time I face it." As the sun rose, light spilled into the barn, touching the small alien child's face. Elias held the hybrid lung in his hands. Rilara whispered a final prayer. The world outside stayed silent, calm, cold waiting, and inside, beneath that soft morning light, humanity's forbidden miracle began to breathe. The sun never truly reached the barn that day. Dark clouds hung low over Ridgefield, heavy and still as if the sky itself was holding its breath. Inside, the air smelled of metal, burnt circuits, and fear. Elias Grant worked quietly, his face pale under the dim light. He stood beside a small table where Rilara's child, Lior, lay motionless. The new lung, glowing faint blue, pulsed faintly in a glass chamber, waiting. Mira watched with wide eyes. "Are you sure this will work?" she whispered. Elias didn't look up. "No," he said simply. "But if we wait any longer, it won't matter." He placed the lung into a small mechanical pod and connected wires to Lior's chest. The machine hummed to life, casting strange patterns of light across the barn walls. Rilara knelt beside her son, whispering words from her language, soft, trembling words that sounded like stars breaking apart. "Stay, my child. Breathe when the light touches you." Elias wiped his brow. His hands shook slightly, but his mind was steady. He'd done countless surgeries before, on humans, on hybrids, even on machines pretending to live. But this was different. This wasn't just science. This was defiance against the law of two galaxies. Mira stood near the door, peeking through a small crack. "No ships," she said. "But people are talking. They know something strange is happening out here." Elias nodded without looking up. "Then we work faster." He took a deep breath and turned to Rilara. "I'm going to start the transfer. Once I connect the biolink, his body might reject it. You must hold him still." Rilara's hands glowed faintly as she gripped her son's shoulders. "Do what you must, human." Elias activated the device. A spark of light ran through the wires. Lear's small body arched. His chest lifted sharply and a weak cry escaped his lips. Part pain, part breath. Mira gasped. He's breathing." But Elias didn't smile. His eyes stayed fixed on the readings flickering across his old monitor. "Not yet. His body's fighting it." He adjusted dials, sweat dripping down his face. "Come on, kid," he muttered. "Don't give up now." The lung flickered faster. The barn filled with a low hum, not mechanical but alive, like the sound of a new heartbeat. Rilara whispered in awe. "It's merging." Elias stepped back slowly, his chest rising and falling. "He's stabilizing." For a long moment, no one spoke. The child's chest rose in steady rhythm. The light inside the device dimmed, soft and peaceful. Rilara's eyes filled with tears. "He breathes," she whispered. "After 3 years, he breathes." She held her son close, sobbing quietly. Her silver tears glowed as they fell onto the straw floor, sinking like light into the earth. Mira smiled, but then she noticed Elias's face. He was pale, too pale. "Doctor, what's wrong?" Elias leaned against the table, clutching his arm. "The device, it used my cells. My DNA." Rilara looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" He gave a faint, tired laugh. "To make it compatible, I had to link my own biology to his. The lung recognizes both of us now. It's part human, part Therian, part me." Mira's smile faded. "Will it hurt you?" Elias shrugged weakly. "Eventually. But it doesn't matter. He'll live. That's what matters." Rilara reached out, trembling. "You risked your life for my child?" He nodded. "I owed it to you. And to myself. Just then a sharp noise echoed outside, a crack of thunder followed by the heavy whine of engines. Mira ran to the window. Her heart froze. 3 black ships hovered above the forest, their lights cutting through the trees. "Galactic enforcers, they've found us," she shouted. Elias's expression hardened. "So soon?" Rilara stood, clutching her child tightly. "They will take him. They will erase everything." Elias turned to Mira. "There's a hidden tunnel behind the storage wall, leads to the stream. Take them, go now." Mira hesitated. "What about you?" He looked at the machine glowing beside him. "Someone has to destroy the data. If they find it, they'll never stop hunting you." Rilara shook her head. "You cannot stay. They will kill you." He smiled faintly. "I've been dead to them for 10 years. The ground shook as one of the ships fired a warning blast nearby. Dust fell from the roof. The hum of alien voices filled the air. "Go!" Elias yelled. Rilara hesitated only for a moment, then turned and ran, holding Lior close. Mira followed her through the secret passage behind the old crates, ducking into the dark tunnel. The walls were damp, cold, and narrow, but they kept moving, guided only by the faint blue light from Rilara's skin. Behind them, the barn doors burst open. Elias stood in the center, surrounded by glowing equipment. A group of armored enforcers stormed in, tall, metallic, and silent. Their eyes glowed red. One stepped forward. "Human Elias Grant, you are under arrest for violation of Galactic Code 27, forbidden hybrid creation." Elias raised his head, unafraid. "And what crime is it to save a child?" The enforcer's voice was cold. "You have contaminated 2 species. The punishment is termination." Elias smiled sadly. "Then make it count." He pressed a button on his console. The machines around him blazed bright. For a split second, the whole barn shone like a miniature star. Then, silence. When the enforcers emerged moments later, the barn was gone. Only smoke, snow, and ash remained. Far down the tunnel, Rilara stopped running. The air smelled of pine and cold water. Behind her, Mira stumbled out, gasping. They turned and saw a faint light burst in the distance. The barn, Elias's last stand, vanished beneath a wave of light. Rilara fell to her knees, holding Lior close. Her voice broke. He saved him, and gave himself to the stars. Mira's eyes filled with tears. He knew they'd come. He knew it would end this way. The alien mother looked up at the sky, her voice trembling. He gave us life. No law can erase that. Above them, the ships circled once, then disappeared into the clouds. The forest fell silent again. Rilara whispered something in her language, words that sounded like sorrow and gratitude woven together. And though the snow buried the smoke, the world had changed. A human had broken the universe's oldest rule and proved that compassion was stronger than fear. The forest was silent after the explosion. Only falling snow and the distant echo of thunder filled the air. The barn was gone, reduced to smoke and ash. But far away, hidden beneath the trees, a faint blue light flickered. Rilara sat by the stream, her child wrapped in her arms. His small chest rose and fell in soft, steady rhythm, breathing freely for the first time. His new lung glowed faintly through his thin skin, each pulse a miracle. Mira crouched nearby, trying to catch her breath. Her coat was torn, her hands scratched from crawling through the tunnel. She looked at Rilara and whispered, "He's alive." Rilara nodded, tears glimmering in her silver eyes. "He lives because of Elias." The two sat in silence, the weight of what had happened pressing on them. The cold wind carried the smell of burnt wood and electricity, the last traces of the man who had saved them. Hours passed. The sun began to rise, soft and pale over the snow. Rilara looked toward the distant smoke. Her voice trembled. "He is gone." Mira didn't answer. Her throat was tight. She had watched Elias walk into that barn knowing he would never come out. He had made his choice, and not out of duty, not out of guilt, but out of love. A kind of love that crossed the boundaries of species and laws, and now the galaxy would call him a criminal. But to her, he was the bravest human alive. By midday, the forest stirred again. A low hum filled the air. The enforcers were still searching. Their ships moved slowly now, scanning the ground with bright beams. Rilara hid under the thick roots of an old tree, pressing Lior against her chest. Mira crouched beside her, whispering, "They're still looking for you. For him, for everything. Rilara's hands glowed faintly. If they find us, they will destroy the child. The pact forbids hybrid life. They will call him a danger. Mira shook her head fiercely. He's not a danger. He's proof that we can live together. Rilara gave a weak smile. To hearts like yours, yes. But to those who rule, he is a threat. The hum grew louder. A beam of light passed near their hiding place, brushing the ground with a soft vibration. Mira held her breath, heart pounding so hard she thought it might give them away. Then slowly the ship moved on. Rilara exhaled shakily. We cannot stay here. They will return. Where will we go? Mira asked. Rilara looked toward the sky. There's a cave deep in the northern ridge. Elias once spoke of it. A place where his first lab was built. Maybe he left something there. The journey was long and cold. The forest seemed endless, filled with the sounds of distant engines and falling snow. Rilara carried Lior close, her steps slow but steady. Mira followed, exhausted but unwilling to stop. Every so often, Lior would stir. His small fingers would twitch, and his voice, soft and melodic, would whisper something in Therian, the alien tongue of his people. Mira asked what he said. Rilara smiled weakly. He dreams. He says the air tastes of stars. They walked until the light began to fade again. Finally, they reached a narrow path between two cliffs. Beyond it lay a hollow cave half covered in snow and vines. Inside, faint lights blinked. Old machines still alive after years of silence. This is it, Rilara whispered. The hidden lab. Inside, the air was thick with dust. Frozen consoles lined the walls, their screens dim. In the center stood a single metal chair, and above it, a holographic orb. Mira brushed snow off the console and pressed a button. The orb flickered to life, and there he was, Elias Grant, not in flesh, but as a recording. His image shimmered softly, his voice calm but filled with tired warmth. If you're seeing this, the hologram said, then I'm gone. Or at least I hope I am. That means it worked, Rilara gasped softly. Mira pressed her hand to her mouth. Elias continued, I knew they would come for me, but I had to finish it, for you, Rilara, and for him. He deserves to live, and if they ever find you, remember this. His life is proof that we are not enemies. You must protect him, because someday when he grows, he'll be the bridge between our worlds. His image glitched, the light flickering. Then his final words echoed softly. Tell them, humanity did not forget compassion. The hologram faded. Rilara stood still for a long time, tears falling silently. He kept his promise, she whispered. He gave his life to keep his word. Mira swallowed hard. He believed in us, in both of us. Suddenly, the machines began to hum again. The walls pulsed faintly, responding to Lior's breathing. Rilara looked around, startled. What is this? Mira pointed at the screen. The system. It's reading his DNA. It recognizes him. A new light appeared on the console, a small holographic star map spinning slowly. In the center, two symbols glowed. One human, one Therian, connected by a single line of light. It's a message, Mira said. He left this for the future. Proof that you can live together. Rilara touched the map with trembling hands. He believed in the bond of two worlds. Then faintly, Lior spoke for the first time since breathing again. His voice was small but clear. Mama, blue sky. Rilara's eyes widened. He speaks. Mira smiled through her tears. He's alive, and he remembers what the world feels like. But outside, the hum of the ships returned, louder this time, closer. Mira looked at Rilara. They're coming again. Rilara held her son tight. Then it's time I make my choice. What do you mean? Rilara looked toward the entrance of the cave, her eyes glowing bright like silver fire. Elias gave his life for my child. I will not let them take that away. I will protect him, even if it costs me everything. She placed her hand on Mira's shoulder. If anything happens to me, promise you'll guide him. Teach him what it means to be human. Mira's voice cracked. I promise. Outside, the lights of the enforcers cut through the darkness like burning suns. Rilara turned toward them, her silver form shining against the cave's shadows. A mother, a warrior, and the last defender of her child's future. The time for running was over. The time for choosing had come. The night burned with light. From above the frozen forest, 3 massive Galactic enforcer ships descended through the storm clouds, their engines humming like thunder. The snow around them melted to mist and the sky turned red from their glow. Inside the cave, Rilara held her child close, her silver skin gleaming in the faint blue of the machines. Mira stood beside her, terrified but refusing to step back. The walls trembled. The ground shook. "They found us," Mira whispered. Rilara nodded slowly. "Yes, the law always finds mercy." Too late. She placed her hand on her child's chest. Lior was breathing evenly now, his new lung glowing softly beneath his skin, a heartbeat of two worlds. Rilara looked at Mira with deep, gentle eyes. "You must take him and run when they enter." Mira shook her head. "No, you can't face them alone," Rilara smiled faintly. "You are young. Humans must learn what we Therians forgot long ago, that love is worth any war." The sound of boots echoed through the tunnel. Bright white beams swept through the cave mouth. Then came the voice, mechanical, cold, and final. "Rilara of Theria. You stand in violation of Galactic Law 4, the Purity Pact. Hand over the hybrid child and surrender for elimination." Rilara stood tall, her back straight, her glowing eyes fierce. "Elimination," she said softly. "You call this life a crime?" The enforcer stepped forward, tall and armored, its metallic face unreadable. "The child is a contamination of two species. He will be erased." Mira's anger boiled. "He's a child! He's alive!" "You can't just—" The enforcer ignored her. "You have 3 seconds to comply." Rilara whispered something in her own tongue, words Mira didn't understand, but they sounded like a prayer and a goodbye. Then she handed the child to Mira. "Take him. Run to the stream. The machines in this cave will hide your signal for a few minutes. That is all I can give you." Mira's eyes filled with tears. "No, I won't leave you." Rilara smiled softly, touching her cheek. "You will. Elias gave his life for this child. Now I give mine to protect it. That is what we mothers do." Before Mira could argue, Rilara turned and faced the enforcers. Her body began to glow, brighter, fiercer, the silver in her skin turning white-hot like a star. The enforcers raised their weapons. "Final warning." Rilara lifted her arms. "You fear life because you cannot create it. You fear love because it does not obey your codes," and then she unleashed her light. The cave erupted in brilliance. The walls shook as a wave of energy burst outward. Mira covered Lior's body with her own, shielding him from the blast. The ground cracked beneath them and the air filled with heat and light. The enforcers staggered back, their armor glowing red under the force. Rilara stood in the center of it all, her voice echoing through the storm. "You may erase my body," she said, "but you cannot erase what was born tonight." A blinding flash filled the cave. Then silence. When Mira opened her eyes again, Rilara was gone. Only a faint silver dust floated in the air, shimmering like soft snow. The enforcers lay still, their systems fried by the burst of Therian energy. Mira trembled. She clutched the child tight, whispering through tears. "She's gone. She's really gone." But Lior stirred in her arms. His tiny hand reached out and a single thread of glowing dust floated down, landing on his palm. It melted into his skin, and then softly he whispered his first human word. "Mom." Days later the storm cleared. The enforcers' ships were gone. The Galactic Council called it an accident, claiming their records showed no survivors. But in truth, something far greater had survived, hidden deep in the forests of Earth. Mira carried the child across frozen rivers and mountains until they reached the old ridge towns where no one asked questions. She changed her name, took work as a mechanic, and raised the boy in secret. Lior grew fast, stronger than any child she had ever known. His lungs, once weak, could breathe in any air. He laughed under the blue sky, swam in rivers, and studied the stars. He had Rilara's eyes and Elias's stubborn will, every night. Before sleep, Mira told him the same story. "Once," she would whisper, "an alien mother knocked on human doors for 3 years, looking for one man who could save her child. People turned her away, afraid of what they didn't understand. But one human listened. And in that choice, everything changed. Lior would always ask, was that man real? Mira would smile. He was more than real. He was human. Years passed. The boy grew into a young man, brilliant and kind. He built machines that healed, not harmed. He spoke of unity between worlds. of air that all beings could breathe, and one day the stars answered. A message came from the Galactic Council, cold and official. They had found traces of forbidden hybrid life on Earth. Lior stood in the same snowy forest where his mother had once fallen to her knees. The wind whispered through the trees, and above him 3 lights appeared in the sky, not of war, but of peace. A voice spoke through his small communicator. Hybrid life form 117, Liar of Earth and Theria, the Council summons you. Your existence must be judged. Mira, now older, placed her hand on his shoulder. They'll try to make you afraid. But remember what she and Elias taught you. He smiled. I'm not afraid. I carry both their hearts. And with that, he walked into the light. Years later, legends spread across both galaxies. They told of an alien mother who walked the Earth for 3 years, searching for one human who didn't turn her away. They told of a scientist who broke every law to save one dying child, and of a boy, born of 2 worlds, who stood before the Galactic Council and changed their laws forever. He reminded them of one simple truth Elias had once spoken. Humanity is not defined by purity. It's defined by compassion. The pact was rewritten, the stars grew kinder, and somewhere in the memory of every world, their story lived on. A story of hope, courage, and the love that refused to die, because once, an alien mother knocked on every human door for 3 years, and one man finally answered. And that single act changed the universe forever.